What is good, team? Do what we do. It took me a little while, but I finally figured it out, right? This is the vision ultimately for the channel. It's to help the younger and older generation build that foundation for success, in their own lives so that they could continue to go and prosper in any given shape or form. I feel as if that we need to focus on that, the foundation of becoming the person that we see for ourselves. And that is what I plan to do with every single video that I'm able to upload. And if that's something that, sits right with you, please like, share, and subscribe. And I promise you, there's more content on the way. With that being said, let's get into it. This is what I would look to do with my stimulus check. Number one, invest. And the reason I say this, right, is because it's free money from the government. Now, of course, they may look to take that money back in the shape of form of, taxes or whatever the case may be. But yet, at the end of the day, it is still money that we are able to use. Therefore, depending on the amount that you feel comfortable with investing, maybe if it's $100, maybe if it's $700, maybe if it's $1,000, just depending on what exactly you're willing to invest after, of course, you've done your due diligence and your own research, because as of right now, I am not a financial advisor, but I am a real estate agent in Houston, Texas. And so I'll give you perspectives for both of those so that you can get a feel for it. Now, when I say invest, right, where my mind sometimes instantly goes is the stock market. I mean, as a lot of us know, there's crypto, there's Apple, there's Amazon, there's Tesla, there's Walmart, there's Disney. There's just so many different companies that you may be looking to invest in depending on what interests you. And now, the reason why I say investing as the first one is because understand, when you put money in a bank account, majority of the time, it's usually going to be a flat line, just like this. It's not going to fluctuate. It's not going to be going up and down. Usually, it may go like this. And if, maybe the bank is giving a little bit of dividends back, right? It may go up like this. Just a, smidge, which is still good. But now here's the thing. When you factor in the stock market, right? And now you're looking to get what we call compound interest, which is an initial, gain upon the investment that you put in, right? So say you put in $100 because you felt comfortable with putting $100 into the stock market. Great, you've gotten started. Now say it goes up by 10%, depending on the stock that you chose after doing your research. It goes up by 10%. Now your $100 is now worth $110, right? And now what's so special about that is because if you leave that same amount of $100 in the bank account, most of the time it's just going to go like this, right? Because what the bank is doing is they're taking our money and then, using it as a loan or using it as collateral for somebody else, which, it is what it is, right? They're still going to make sure that they're able to give us the funds that we seek, so there's a balance with it. But either way, it depends, because the reason why, I feel as if investing is so important, right, is because it's going to come a time and a point, a time and a place where you're not able to trade time for money, right? Because if we continue to go out there and we're working so hard, so diligently, right, because of the time that we're putting in, what happens when you are no longer putting in that time? Your money stops. That is why, investing is so essential, because if we continue to do time equals money, at some point, you're no longer going to be willing to put time into the job that you have or business or whatever the case is. So the reason why we may look to invest is so that we have a vehicle that's able to pay us a certain amount of money every single month. And now also, when it comes to investing, there's so many ways to go about it, because you can invest into a company that you've done research on, a mutual fund you've done research on, index fund as well, a CD, a certificate of deposit with the bank, whatever the case, whatever works for you. And we can, chop that up, or, you can comment below, let me know if you want more about that. And I'll be willing to definitely make another video about it. But I would say number one is invest, so that we get to a point in time when we're no longer trading time equals money. And for me, that's so important, because one of my greatest goals is to retire my mom. And so because of that, I'm willing to work hard now, trading some of my time, but on the back end, I'm going to be working so hard on me, and nobody can take that away from you. Number two, I would say invest. Number two, I would say save, right? They're giving you money, and now you got to look at your bank account, or look at certain things that you have going on and see that, okay, hey, I could save this money and I can put it in a bank account for my emergency fund. You know, say something happens with your car. Say the possibility of getting fired from like a job or something like that, where you know you're making great money. But now the thing is, do you have enough funds in reserve to cover your expenses for the next 3 to 6 months? Just because, you know, you just never know what can happen. I mean, COVID happened this time last year where they started shutting down everything. Some people we weren't expecting that, and unemployment was through the roof. You know, that is just based upon the circumstances of what happened. But that's just life, right? Sometimes we don't know what could happen, but it's better to be prepared rather than, you know, unprepared. So just maybe even it's $1,000, $500, it's still money that you put towards a rainy day. Or if you're gonna save it, right, you could put it towards a credit card that you've been working to pay off. Now just pay it off so that you don't have to worry about that every single month. But now, if you have money coming in from other places, then you don't necessarily need to use a stimulus to save, or, you know, put that money on your credit card. But that's just something that I would say is just, you know, number 2 would be save, you know, because you want to make sure that you have your emergency fund covered, which those number 1 and number 2, invest or save, could be they could be seen interchangeably. Now the third one, right, let's throw some real estate in there, would be look to save that money to then invest that money into real estate. Because as we know, if you're going to put out a down payment, even if it's 3.5%, that's still a, you know, a sizable amount, depending on the price point of the home, the sales price of the home at market value, or whatever the case is. Because say if we're to do 3% of, let's say, 250,000, that would be about roughly $7,500, right? If I was looking to be like a commission or whatever. But 3% and 3.5% maybe pushing 8,000, 8,500. You know, so, but think about it, right? You purchase a house that you live in, you put in 3%. And for the basis of this video, we'll go off a house that's worth 275 or 250,000. You're going to put down, you know, let's say 3.5%, let's just say roughly that's about 8,500, right? You put that money in as your down payment. Now you have $8,500 as equity inside the property, right? And then now over time, your property grows, you know, by 2% every 2 years or so, right? So now your property may go from, you know, it may not seem that much, but, you know, if you really, you know, break down the numbers, you say, oh, this is a sizable amount, right? Up by 10% on a property that's worth 250,000, maybe about, I might butcher this, maybe like 15,000 or so. But after 2 years, now you have, you know, on top of the initial investment that you put in, your down payment, you now have money on top of that as, say, equity, or something that you're able to liquidate over a period of time when you see that, okay, now I don't want to live here, or I'd rather rent this house out even. Now you have a house that you bought at a cheaper price that's not only worth more, you now rented it out. So you could possibly look to cash flow because you took that initial investment of your stimulus check, put it towards a down payment, so that, you know, futuristically you can make money on, you know, the initial investment that you put in over time, though, right? And something that we have to keep in mind when it comes into the basis of investing is that it's usually a long-term game, unless you're able to liquidate, or you find an investment vehicle that's going to take you through the absolute roof, you know? So, but instead of looking for a one-trick pony, you know, why not do your due diligence, do your research, and put yourself in a position to not have to trade time equals money. And, you know, just to recap on the video, the top 3 tips that I would say to use the stimulus check for is, the number 1 is to invest. You know, you don't want to be always trading time equals money. Number 2 would be save. You want to have an emergency fund available because you never know what life could throw at any of us, right? And number 3 would be real estate. I put it as a separate entity in itself because real estate is it's a different beast than the stock market. They're not the same, but we're all looking to make a return on our money. So that's something that I would say research or look up or ask me questions about. I'd be more than happy to help. And on top of that, if there's anything that I can ever do for you, please like, share, and if there's anything that I can do for you, please comment below. That's all. And I'm here to provide value as much as I possibly can, and I know that I'm not perfect, but I do know is that I will continue to give it my all. And this right here is only the beginning. Thank you for staying to the end. I'm more than grateful, and I promise you there's more to come. Team, do what we do. Let's get it.